It's Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports. It's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports. Time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Sports Show. Papa Dude, I'm just ready for the fights today. I can't wait. I'm looking so forward to this. I woke up this morning and I said, all right, what are we going to do for this show? Because our show, we talk about sports, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about Oaklawn, and it's like, it's not.
Oaklawn's
really
nothing this weekend, really.
Yeah, so it's like we got big things for Oaklawn the next couple of weeks. We'll have that covered. What can we do today? And I thought, let's just try to make everybody, and maybe even you, mad. So, are you excited for the hot topics?
There in the United States of America today, if you throw out anything, there's going to be an argument. It doesn't matter what it is. There's going to be. That's just the way it is. And when you're talking about horse racing and sports, everybody's got their own opinion. So yeah, we'll have a good, lively discussion today, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. I didn't know where you were going with that one. I'm glad you.
That's the way it is. And I think that's the social media age.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you're 100% right. Sometimes controversies happen that I don't know about because I haven't been on Twitter in the last couple of days, and I get on there and people are like, hey, this and this. It's like, I don't know.
Argue about anything on Twitter. So
yes.
Anyway.
All right, listen, let's just do it. Let's get into it.
Let's get after it.
We've got 3 horse racing topics and we've got 2 sports topics. Okay. So I think we should kick it off with the headliner because this has been all over our Twitter feed or whatever. Is Forte the real deal is the first one. Okay. And I think it is an interesting debate. So let me just kind of preface to lay out the scene, and then I'll kick it over to you. He was the 2-year-old of the year, you know, and he won 3 straight grade 1s to end 2022. 2023 comes. He looks very good in his first race, the Fountain of Youth. He earns a 98 buyer, which that's whatever. It's not bad for the first start. Everybody's expecting the second start. Well, maybe not everybody, but I'm expecting second start to see a step forward. I think we saw, I don't care about the buyer really, but I think we saw kind of the same race in his second start as we did in his first. What do you think? Because you've been kind of high on him after this race. Is Forte the real deal?
Well, first of all, I don't know why we give a shit, to be honest. Let's run some more races, right?
Well, I disagree with
that. Real deal going into the Kentucky Derby. How about we say it that way?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He hasn't run enough yet for us to say he's a superstar.
Okay, let me rephrase. We're talking about the Kentucky Derby right now.
Yeah.
Is he the real deal for the Kentucky Derby? Yeah.
Well, I've watched a ton of races, not near as many as you have, but I have watched a bunch of races. And the trouble he got in that race, if you want to blame that on him for getting in the position he was in, okay.
Yeah.
I don't see very many horses win that race. I'll just say that right now. I thought he was beat. Mm-hmm. And I think you did too, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think Mike Somich did too.
Yep.
And probably Magic.
But between all of us on the live stream, we probably had, I'm going to guess, because Somich had a huge bet. I'm going to guess we had $3,000 between all of us on the Forte Mage exacta, and I don't think any of us thought we were cashing that.
No, I thought he was beat.
Yeah.
And so I've publicly said it on some shows we've done. I got more out of him in that race coming from behind like he did than I would have if he'd have blown somebody away. I mean, I don't know how good the field was. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this too. Had he not won that race, would we be criticizing the jockey?
I wouldn't. I don't really think he got in that much trouble. I don't think he got in that much trouble.
Well, he kind of got behind some horses. Now, that could be they just couldn't get him to run.
He kind of comes from behind, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that is an issue with horses that like to come from behind. Uh-huh. They get into trouble sometimes. But he proved that he could get – I thought the horse – okay, I'll shut up and I'll just finish with this. I thought the horse showed a tremendous amount of courage to come back and win that race.
That I can't disagree with at all. I thought, okay, at first I thought he was in a pretty good spot, but Mage was beat, right?
Yeah.
And then Mage makes this move and he passes everybody like they're tied to a pole. And I'm like, oh God, you don't usually see a horse get flown by and then one of the horses that gets flown by comes back and wins. So when they turned for home, I thought, I can't believe it's going to come in Mage Forte and it's going to come in the wrong way.
Yes.
And it was very impressive to see him dig down, to see him see that horse in front of him and go get him. I thought that was impressive for sure.
He didn't have very much time to get him either.
He didn't have very much time to get him either. You're right about that. And I think a longer stretch definitely would have helped him a bit. They had to give him 2 pretty hard left-handed whips there at the top of the stretch. And then it was more of a little bit of a hand ride home, a vigorous hand ride home, not under wraps or anything like that. It's at least, I'll say this, he's opened the door, I think, for somebody to jump through it and beat him. I thought it was a good race. I don't think it was a great race. I don't think he's a 2-1 Kentucky Derby favorite type at this moment. Now, you still have all these races left this weekend. Maybe nobody else impresses, and it's just a race where, hey, how he's running, it's probably going to be good enough to get the job done. I mean, I'm in the middle, and I seem to always fall in the middle of these discussions, right? I don't think he's trash, but I don't think what he did last Saturday was anything that makes you go, wow, he is a monster of a horse.
Okay.
Well, what do you think about that?
That's your opinion. I think he's a monster of a horse, and I think he'll prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think
I just have seen too many horses not win when they're put in that situation, and to suck him under with the ease that he did. Now, I don't know how good Mage is. The other thing is, Irad was totally shocked, he said, when Mage passed him.
I'm sure he was. Yeah.
And I think he may have stumbled just a little bit thinking, what was that just went around me?
Could have been. And I think this could be a situation also where Irad was not really focused on who was behind him. And he was looking at front and he goes, okay, I'm going to wait, make my move. I've got those horses measured. That won't be a problem. And then we'll just kind of gallop on from there. Nobody's going to catch us. And I think what you said is right. I think because we were shocked too. If you go back and watch the feed, we are just in a depression because we thought Mage would have to get out in front or at least be forwardly placed. And he starts making the move and we all are like, oh God, he's running, he's going to fire. Yeah. And it's like, when he made the move around the turn, you're like, well, there's no doubt he's going to finish first or second. But unfortunately, I think he's going to finish first for our bets. So I do think it was surprising how well he ran. And I think Irad thought I'll make the first move and then they'll follow me. And he got passed. He got passed.
He got surprised. Irad got surprised.
And perhaps that's what made it a little closer. Maybe if Irad was expecting that move, he moves with him and it's not as close.
Yeah.
I do think there's some of that because, we all kind of have how even jockeys, trainers, everybody have that race in their head, right? And then when a horse does something you're not expecting, you've got to adjust to it. So that was definitely a big factor in it. I think you're right. Another big thing, and I don't hate it, but I don't particularly love it. On the gallop out, Mage passed him. Mage got back ahead. When we're going 1.25 miles, I'm not sure if that's the greatest sign in the world. What do you think about that one?
We'll just have to see. I don't know. I don't. It's not a good sign, I guess. He spent an awful lot of energy to get him.
Yeah.
I could see why he was tired. He's had to suck it up and shift it in. Some of the people have said here in the chat, 5th and 6th gear. I can see why he might be a little gassed.
It's probably the hardest he's had to run since he beat Loggins, as a 2-year-old. You think about his races, he had to run his ass off to beat Loggins. Okay. And then the next race in the Breeders' Cup, he ran. Don't get this twisted. He ran a stellar race, but he really never left like 2nd or 3rd gear in that race. He didn't have to dig down deep. This was the second time you really had to see him dig down. And like you said, and to his full credit, he went there and he went and got him. And that
I love to see
deserves a
that.
ton of credit. Yeah.
I disagree with Christopher here that Mage quit. I don't think he did. It looks like you quit when the other horse flies by you like a locomotive.
I think quit is a strong word. I do think he was starting to shorten up those strides just a bit. And I think it was because he had to make a circus-like move around the turn. And he got in such trouble. And I think the jock just kind of said, look, we got to go. We got to go, and whatever happens, happens. So I do think the strides were starting to shorten. I do. But he had every reason. I mean, my goodness. He ran a huge race.
Oh, he did.
And I see people are very, very happy thinking he's going to win the Derby or that's the horse you really want. What kind of trip is he going to get? That's 2 times in a row when he got in Stakes Company, he didn't get the trip. And gosh, what's he going to get in the Derby? That's my worry about him. What did you think about Mage?
Mage?
Yeah.
Well, I think that horse is lightly raced.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a tremendous performance. I mean, I think he made a giant step forward. I do. I don't know. We're just going to see what happens this weekend. If another star comes out of these races this weekend, Practical Move takes that next step. If Tap It Trice, is that I either get that or Tap It Twice. But how that horse does, who comes out of that, they may not win either one of them. So, we're going to know a lot more Saturday about 6 o'clock or whatever time those races are over.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kept him number 1, kept Forte number 1 for another week here. And I've been putting him number 1 because I was pretty convinced he's the best horse. I kept him number 1 because I just think he's still, as well, the ones we've seen run so far, their last preps, I still think he's a little better. I'm fully expecting somebody to come and pass him this weekend. And I wasn't really thinking I would have that kind of feeling. So I guess my answer is, for right now, I still have him as the real deal number 1 horse for the Derby, but I'm looking for somebody this weekend to pass him. We'll see. And I know you're number 1 and you're probably not looking for anybody to pass him this weekend.
No, he hasn't done anything wrong in my eyes, but my eyes are not as well trained as yours are. So I just see the results. I saw what the horse did. I've seen too damn many horses not win a race like that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think you got to look at in a horse. Do they have the guts to come from behind and when it looks like they're beat? And he did.
That's right. And you're not wrong about that. And sometimes your eyes are good because you keep things pretty simple in your handicapping. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's really good because you don't get all these other factors. You're just like, well, look, he keeps winning and now he's in another race with horses he should beat. So I'll just take him. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm still on him. I think he proved a lot to me in my eyes,
Yeah.
But there's still races to go. This is, these 3 this weekend.
Yep.
I'll be surprised if anything comes out of the wood that really impresses us. I could pick a big upset there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to handicap that here in a little while. But, Practical Move's got a chance to move forward, and we'll see what happens up at Keeneland.
Yep. Yeah, Keeneland, the Bluegrass as well. With Tap It Trice.
I like up at Keeneland.
What's that?
You know a horse I like up at Keeneland? Real quick, throw out there.
Okay.
I really like Major Blue.
Really?
Yes, I do. I don't know that he'll win.
Okay.
Hey, that horse is getting better. And I think he can do some damage up there. I think D. Wayne sent him up there instead of the Arkansas Derby for a reason. And I don't really know what it is, but I think to me, he would have ran him in the Arkansas Derby. I think maybe thought he needed another week. That could be.
He's 30-1. He is the second longest choice on the board. Major Blue. He's won 2 in a row.
Yep. And he's been impressive. And I don't know whether he's ready to go take on a grade 1. I think he'll be a player in this. I do. I really was impressed the way he ran the other day.
Yep. He did run really well the other day. I don't want much part of him here, but maybe underneath.
Long shot. if you want a long shot on your exotics, he might be something to look at.
Mendelssohn's March is the horse I want. That's a longer price, but I'm afraid a few people want him, and I don't know if he'll actually be a longer price. But same kind of cut from the same cloth, almost been winning won at Oaklawn, and now trying to come up here and face Stakes Company for the first time. So, yeah, I get it. I think Major Blue
is it? Yeah, Major Blue
should get the lead, and I think that's always dangerous as well. So.
Yeah, and Dean Wayne's got him running good right now. So maybe a little overconfident. Could be. I don't know.
Well, his horses are running good. You're not saying anything wrong with that one. Yeah. Let's go on to the next one. Let's stick to the Derby topic here. All right. And do another horse just because people were really talking about this. Angel of Empire, big winner of the Arkansas Derby, a good pick by you for sure. And an easy winner. Won it, no doubt, really, once they turned for home. What did you think of him? Is he a Derby threat?
Well, I don't know why not. He ran really well. That's 2 good wins in a row, right? Mm-hmm. The Risen Star, and now this one. That's a pretty good twosome, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. Good trainer. Should improve. Don't know how good the field was at Oaklawn. I think it was one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But the horse ran great and pulled away at the end like you want to see and blew that field away. So, sure, I think he's a threat. We'll just have to see, our next topic will come up here in a little bit, where he draws and that kind of stuff. So, I don't see why he shouldn't be 8-1, 10-1. What do you think?
Yep, I think he's a major threat. I thought he ran very well. He reminded me a lot of how Cyberknife won last year at Oaklawn. He kind of came in. He wasn't under the radar, but he wasn't like a second or a strong favorite or second choice, kind of in that third, fourth race. I like him a lot. I think he's right up there. I'm kind of on a wait and see with some of these final ones this weekend where he lands for me, but I've got him in number 5 right now, and he could move up. We'll see what happens with some of these horses. I'm projecting, how they're going to run this weekend. So we'll keep that one short and sweet. We don't have much to debate.
No, he looks good. And the Arkansas Derby winners have a good history. So, if you win that race, you're pretty good.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So there's 2 horses now. We're going to go to a sports one. Don't worry. We do have one horse one left. This is going to be my favorite. I can't wait for this one. Is Angel Reese classless? So if you didn't see it, Angel Reese pulling off the John Cena to America's little darling Caitlin Clark as LSU won the national championship on Sunday. This has caused a major uptick in debate over, is she classless? I mean, how terrible is this person? How awful is this person? All right, let's hear it, Papa Dude. What was your take on this?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, it has to do with girls. Mm-hmm. I think we don't think girls should act like that. Mm-hmm. Is that sexist to say? I don't mean it that way at all.
No, I know you don't. You're saying that's what you think is.
I just think it's been blown out of proportion because it's girls.
Correct. And that's not you. That's you talking about other people, not your thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's been blown out of proportion because it's 2 girls doing that. And we don't associate girls with doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great what Caitlin Clark said in an interview. She said, I didn't think anything of it. It's not a big deal. We are competitors and we were playing a game, and that's just the way it is. It didn't bother, at least in the interview she had with, I think, Stephen A. Smith, it didn't bother her. Mm-hmm. Case closed. That ought to close it right there.
Yeah.
I think she might have went a little too far, maybe did it too long, maybe. Mm-hmm. That part of it I don't like. Maybe once, okay, but it seems like she taunted her just a little bit. Here's the thing. When you get in a game, you don't know what's going on out on that floor. You don't know what these guys are saying to each other. And the girl from Iowa may have been mouthing too. You just don't know. Great players are competitors, and they they don't like to lose. And these were two very, very good players. And by the way, the girls' tournament was fantastic. The Final Four was some of the best basketball I've seen.
It's the best basketball of the year, the Final Four for the women.
Oh, it really was.
Yep.
If you do want to get into some controversy here, and Dennis mentioned it, I thought more controversy was what they let Kim Mulkey get away with over there on the sidelines. But that's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And, you get a reputation like that. Referees just they let you get away with it. She was out of control a couple of times, but that's just what she does. Right. No, that's what she does. And
right. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm not saying anything, but they should have probably teed her up once.
Sure. No, I don't disagree, but
she grabbed an official, but that's kind of what she does. But back to this. I've heard some stuff that Angel has said about the other controversy was, and this is, again, it just is what people hear and run with it. Jill Biden said in a comment that she thought the Iowa team should be invited to the White House also.
Yeah.
Now, I think what she meant was they played really well, and she thought they deserved to come to the White House too. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Angel has kind of gone off the wall on this and she's taken it too far and said, no, they shouldn't go. They lost, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think Jill Biden meant it in that way. And she since has backtracked and said, that's not the way I meant it. I think what she meant was they both played so well, they both should be able to come to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she was a little classless in what she said there. But the taunting and all that, no, I don't have a problem with what she did.
All right. So here's the deal.
Okay.
I think some people that are on the internet have never actually played a competitive sport.
Probably not.
I was watching this and it was like, that is hilarious. That is hilarious because you got to understand all anybody ever heard through this whole tournament is, Caitlin Clark. These girls from LSU are really good. And you know what Kim Mulkey, the best coach in college basketball, no doubt, men or women, did? She played that to her team. She played that up. She said, you're getting disrespected. She said, nobody thinks you can win. She said, nobody cares about you. It's all about Iowa. They don't give a damn about LSU. They shit on you. Piss on them. Right. And she rallied that team.
She did.
Go watch that game. They could not have played with more passion, more effort, and they played a damn near perfect basketball game.
They couldn't have played any.
Basketball team scored 105 points.
They couldn't have played any. They couldn't have played.
One of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen in my life.
And by the way, she had 9 new players this year. 9 new players.
Yeah. However, when you coach like that, when you do that, when you get that team so fired up with emotion and energy like that, this is what comes out of it.
It is.
Because you can't play up. Everybody hates you. Everybody thinks you suck. Nobody thinks you have a chance. Everybody loves this girl over here. And then when you win and you kill them like that, and everything Kim Mulkey probably told those players came absolutely true. You're better than them. Go out and show it. Nobody thinks you're going to win this game. Everybody in this building is against you that isn't wearing purple tonight. This is what's going to happen. You're going to get a girl that took all of it to heart, played a great game, and she's going to get in the face of the other girl and say, hey, what do you think now? Because you're going back to Iowa with nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to LSU with his ring. And that's what's going to happen.
I think the
what that are upset about this, get a life.
Right.
Period. Get a life. This is crazy. This is competitive sport. We're not intramurals. This is competitive Division I national championship sports.
Okay,
Get
Steve.
over it.
Okay, Stephen A. You make that
crazy.
Okay,
it's
Stephen A.
Crazy.
You make outstanding points. The only rebuttal I have here, and I don't know whether this happened or not. Okay, you're taking it out on the girl, Caitlin Clark, who may not have said anything, and it's not her fault.
No, I'm not. Caitlin Clark, I don't care. That's fine.
I know, but the other side of it is maybe she shouldn't have been mouthing her as much if she had, because they were the favorites because Caitlin Clark played so well in the South Carolina game. Well, that's not her fault, and that's not her fault that they were favorites and LSU wasn't. My point is, sometimes you have to realize, okay, I'm going to do this to you, Caitlin, but I'm not going to continue it. You know, and you can't really blame Caitlin Clark for Iowa being favorite because she had that fantastic game against South Carolina. Everybody knew LSU. Everybody knew LSU should be the favorite. They should have been the favorite in that game.
Well, of course,
and they weren't. And they weren't.
All this stuff is not a blame on Iowa or Caitlin Clark. I don't have anything against them. If they would have won by less than 3.5, I would have been totally fine with it.
I would like to know if Caitlin Clark mouthed her any at all in that game. I would like to know that.
I don't care.
But she probably did. She probably did.
Who cares?
Well,
it's a competitive sport. They're not playing chess.
I really think if it was boys that had done this, this would not have been an issue.
You mean when the UConn guy was waving at the other team?
Yeah.
Fans at the end of the game and players?
It's guys. It's guys.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing is not very many people, and I don't mean this bad, they don't watch women's sports very often.
Yeah. No,
and they don't realize, me personally, in the last couple of years, because UNI's alma mater has been so good at women's basketball, I have watched a ton of it. And I'm a huge fan now of the competitiveness of these girls and how good they are. I mean, I knew they were good.
Yeah.
Man, they get after the rabbit, I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. And I've got to where I almost would rather watch the women's play than the men's because I don't like the way the men's game is nowadays. Now,
the other stuff that you talked about, well, I'm not even going to the White House now, you know, because she thought Iowa should be that's whatever. Probably shouldn't be doing it. Okay.
I'll just go to the White House and enjoy it.
You're off the court now.
And that's exactly what Kim Mulkey has said. We're going to the White House. We're going to the White House.
And I think she's taken that too far. But look, when you're in battle and you're on the court or the field or whatever, now you can't hit somebody. You can't physically hurt somebody. But that kind of stuff, forget about it. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. And you know what? If you want to talk about, well, why didn't they tee her up? Why did they tee Mulkey up? Fine, I get it. You could definitely, Mulkey could have got teed up a couple times. You could have, teed up Angel as well. And I have no argument.
I don't think you tee up Angel. It wasn't anything you tee her up for, I don't think.
Well, I mean, you can tee somebody up for talking trash to another player. Yeah, if she gets that, then that is whatever it is, right? I saw somebody ask about the Caitlin Clark technical. That was nuts. That was a horrible call.
Yeah, I didn't get that one at all. No. We did see her throw the ball away from the official, and sometimes they don't like it. It makes you wonder, though, what the point I was trying to make a while ago. Was she mouthing out there and we didn't see it? It makes you wonder, had she been mouthing to the officials off camera, and you don't, because she bitched about a lot of fouls. She did. The Iowa team was. Mm-hmm. And she might have said something to an official. We don't know, because that was an awful quick tee.
Yeah. And look, complaining at the officials and stuff. It's the heat of the moment, things like that. Silver Charm says Reese only did it that you can't see me because Clark did it to Louisville. So yeah, I saw the people that were posting that, and again, I didn't care about Caitlin Clark doing that, and the other way around. I don't care.
That's what you do. That's what you do. I still say a lot of this has to do with the fact it was girls. Yeah. I really believe that, and I don't say that disrespectfully. I just think those of us that watch sports don't think girls get into the game as much as boys do. Yeah. And at this level, they do. But, lost in all this, too, is if you watch the semifinal games, I thought LSU was beat in the semis.
Oh, yeah.
they were down 9 going into the fourth quarter, and Virginia Tech was laying it to them.
Yes.
And they blew them out in that fourth quarter, and they just carried it right on over into the championship game, and they played fantastic. They really did.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get off the Angel Reese classless thing and give LSU a ton of credit for winning like they did. And here's another thing. How in the hell they were a number 3 seed, I will never know.
Yeah. And it was 2 games all season long. Number 3 seed, and like say, Kim Mulkey could play into the disrespect card even more there. Yeah, they were in big trouble against Virginia Tech without any doubt. And in this game, they were never in trouble, and that's weird. It would be the other way around, you'd think. But listen, the LSU Virginia Tech game was great, and then Caitlin Clark versus South Carolina, one of the better performances you'll ever see. And then this championship game was great. I mean, it was exciting.
It really was. And in contrast to what the boys, which it just wasn't a good tournament. Overall.
I think San Diego State, Florida Atlantic was a great game.
That was a great game, yes.
But the problem was Connecticut was just better than everybody, and any game they were involved in wasn't a good game because they dominated. So,
and I think we see, everybody wants the good teams to get beat. I think we see that we need a couple of good teams in the Final Four. Yeah. I'm talking about highly seeded teams need to be in the Final Four to make it interesting because, as I said on the Daily Show on Sunday, when no one's got a bracket left, they don't really care about this tournament anymore unless their team's playing.
That's right. Yeah. When you get to the Final Four, it does kind of seem like a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, unless your team's playing. So, anyway, I think we've hashed this one out.
That one got me fired up. Let's see if we can get some more people fired up here. We'll go back to horse racing here. Should the Derby change the point system and the post position draw? So, should the Derby change the point system, how you qualify to get there? And then once you get there, should it be more of a, hey, you earned X amount of points, so you get the first choice of post and on down the list? 2 different questions, but kind of go together. What are your current thoughts on this?
I don't really have a trouble with the point system so much. You may have some more opinions on that. But the post draw is ridiculous, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Whoever has the most points should get to pick let's say the top 5 get to pick where they want to be. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen races where the best horse does not win. We've seen a lot of Kentucky Derbies where the best horse doesn't win. Mm-hmm. And I just think if you've earned, say, 200 points and the next horse below you's earned 105, you should get to pick where you want to be. I mean, that's the way they do it in any other sport.
Yep.
I just think I've said this a million times on our shows over the last couple of years, and I'm not going to change my mind. This is the most unfair horse race there is. Uh-huh. And to me, and I've said this a million times, this is the race that horse racing industry needs to showcase, which they do. It's unfair, and there's so many things about it that's not right. Mm-hmm. A 20-horse field's ridiculous. I've said this over and over. I've heard D. Wayne say it. One of these days, we're going to have a problem, and it's going to be tragic.
If you're gonna run 20 horses, then that's when I think the post draw needs tweaking. Yeah. Yes. If you're gonna run 14, you get what you get, but 20 just makes it.
I agree. 20, they never run in a 20-horse race. Never. It's the only time. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so you've never had a horse that's ever been out that far, if you get that, or pinned on the rail. Mm-hmm. You watch the head-on of this race, and you watch that one horse, and if he doesn't get out of that gate, you watch that horse get knocked into that rail, because he will. He will.
Shoddy with a great thanks for the super chat, Shoddy. And she says, how could you say something so controversial yet so brave? A dude who bets more special. Maybe that's what I should have named this one. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to argue again with you, Truth. One of these days, we're going to have a tragic accident in that race, because most of the people that watch the Kentucky Derby don't ever watch another horse race all year long.
So truth is right.
He is.
And also you're right.
It's just we're not talking about cars, Dennis. We're talking about horses. We're talking about jockeys. We're talking about human beings.
Grand National is not a car race, but go ahead.
What the hell is it?
It's overseas, but go ahead.
Well, I don't care. I don't give a shit. 20 horses is too many.
Yeah.
It's too many.
Yeah.
It's not right.
The worry I've always had, if something like War of Will happened and he almost went down.
Yeah.
And he was in front of 18 of the 20 runners, I think, maybe 17, maybe 18. Don't quote me on that. But
a disaster.
If he goes down, what happens? And that's with any race in the country, world, whatever. If a front runner goes down, even if there's 6 behind you, that's a very scary thing. But with 20, it really makes you scared. There's also the possibility of more bumping and stuff like that. So, it's definitely a worry.
Does anybody know what year they started this many horses? Because when I was growing up and watching the Kentucky Derby, there was 8 or 10 in the race every year.
Yeah,
there wasn't this many.
I don't know that off the top of my head. No. Yeah. To the question.
What about the point system?
The point system, I think they did a good job this year. I think they made it a little bit better this year. I think they're continuing to try to make it good and better, and I think that's good. I hate the international aspects where a horse can run just in Japan and qualify with races that probably shouldn't be qualifiers, in the same way with Europe. I want Japan and Europe to have horses represented here, but I would love to see them. They have to qualify in races that aren't just for them. I think that's crazy. So
has that added to the number of horses, you think, since they've made that?
No, I think
have they always allowed them in?
That's been the last 4 or 5. Well, I can't remember how long they started that. Maybe 5-6 years ago. But like last year, these horses from Japan got in by qualifying, and then they kind of, I'm not going to say they ruined the race, because that's not fair to people that really enjoyed that race, really, cashed or whatever. So I'm not going to say ruined the race, but they certainly ruined the pace of the race. And the problem was they got in, and that's great, but they ran races that they had never run before. So you really couldn't handicap that was going to happen like that. They went out and flew, and those were horses that hadn't flown like that ever. So it did, like I said, ruin the race is too strong, but ruin your handicapping of the pace in a way that you never could have seen coming certainly is not a stretch, right? So I love when the international horses come over. I love that for the Breeders' Cup. Any big races we have, they come over. That's great. I would love for them to be here, but you got to qualify in races that we have on our list, not on your own. So
what you're saying is they got to come over and earn some points in American races.
Even if they go to the UAE Derby, that's okay too. But you're not going to run in 5 races in Japan and you've qualified. Or 5 races in Europe and you've qualified. Take that away. And with the Japanese horses especially, their motivation to come over here is getting bigger and bigger, right? So I don't think the Japanese would have a problem trying to qualify that way. I think they would still have runners. And I think Churchill did that so we could get that Japanese horse and that European horse, because it does make it fun that they're here. But those roads just all on their own, I am not a fan of that whatsoever. That I would change. Post position draw, I do agree with you. Here's what I would do. If you had, I would make like a lottery pull, right? If you have the first or the most points, you get 20 balls into the pool, right? Yeah. Second, you get 19, all the way down to 20 gets 1. That way it's still random. It's not just okay, here it is, but your chances of drawing first are better and better. And then you let the connections put the horses on what posts they need to be or they want to be
Yeah,
once
but
they get drawn out of that lottery.
I would go along with that for sure.
Yeah. And to Shadi's point on the Japanese situation, Mandarin Hero is going to come over and run this weekend in the Santa Anita Derby.
Right.
And I'm glad he's here for sure. And I just feel like that needs to be what all of them have to do. And again, you come over for one and earn your way. So yeah. But anyway, as far as the Derby draw, I still like that feeling of it's random, and there's still like even that horse that has one ball in that lottery pool could still get that choice of first post, right? I'd like to keep that aspect, and maybe I'm weighting it too much, but some kind of weight to where the horses that have earned their way there the most have a better opportunity or chance to get that right. Decent draw, right?
Yeah, because let's just look at Forte right now. Let's say he gets the 20. Then everything changes, right? We all look at that and go, whoa, or what if he gets the 1?
Yeah. And then you've got a horse that, let's just say that Contour, the Japan horse that's coming over because they had their own qualification and he took that spot. He comes over and he gets the perfect post.
Yeah.
And he really hadn't earned his way. And I'm not knocking them coming. I'm not knocking the connections, but he really hasn't earned it as much as a Forte or, whoever, right? So that's even an Angel of Empire. Like, forget about Forte. He's won 2 big prep races. Then you have this horse from Japan who's done nothing basically to get here. He gets like the 7 hole, and then Forte gets the rail. It's like
that's right. I think this Japanese horse is interesting in the Santa Anita Derby.
Yeah,
I think he's interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I do too. I'm interested to see how he runs. He's not from the major circuit, so that's going to be interesting. But he is from a country right now who's just dominating on the world stage.
Right.
So we'll see. In Dubai, they ran really, really well. They really showed their stuff, but they had a lot of horses in all those races too. So, and that's the other factor with Japan. Used to, even let's say 5 years ago, they had horses running, but they didn't have a ton of them. Now they're filling the fields. So, and now here it is spilling over to the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
So it'll be very interesting to see if that A continues, and B, will they get one eventually? Because
they will.
Everything else, right?
Now, how many are in there right now?
From Japan in the Derby?
Yeah.
There are 2 right now.
2. Okay.
Yeah. Derma Sotagate, who won the UAE Derby, and then Contour, who I think he was 3rd in the UAE. Yeah, he was 3rd in the UAE Derby. I think he ran over in the Saudi Derby. I don't think he hit the board, but he won a race in Japan on their series, and he's ranked number 1 on their list. So here he is.
This horse has a chance to get in there too.
Yeah, Mandarin, if he finishes top 2, he will most likely get in. I think 40 points will be enough to get him in. Yeah. So if he runs well, he's going to be there. So they'll have 3.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
This will never happen, but should there be a minimum points to get into the Derby?
Well, there kind of is though, right? If you keep I know what you're trying to say. Like,
bottom line is they want that 20 horse field.
That's the problem. Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah. Hey, if you didn't get 20 points, you're not in, but all of a sudden we may have 17 runners and Churchill's not going to do that. So
no. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is it, Curtis. And you talked about a little bit earlier how you liked the new system. 40 points. It's going to be really close. The cutoff line is going to be higher because they've given out more points this year. So 40 in the past has been easy, no problem. 40 this year. Now, you say if some drop out, they usually do. So probably you're going to get in with 40, but it's not guaranteed. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's a good point there from Mr. McMahon, Curtis there. I love the new
because there's been some years where 15 or 20 points got you in, right? Yeah.
Yep, for sure. 15 and 20 has gotten in. 18's gotten in. I remember that. So yeah. All right, we'll go one more. We're going to go with one more sports, and you'll probably get mad about this one more than I will, but I don't like it either. Is the portal ruining college athletics? Papa Dude, you and I are college athletic fans no matter what sport, really. It's not the same. I don't know if it's something we're just going to have to get over or what. What are your thoughts on the portal?
Well, coming from a coach's point of view,
well, yeah, horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it is ruining it. And we're seeing it trickle down to all levels. I just think they're going to have to make some adjustments to it. Used to, if you wanted to transfer, you could, but you had to sit out a year. And now you don't. So what is happening is, if the least little thing upsets you, you can transfer anywhere you want to go as long as they'll take you, and you can play immediately. So we have total changes in the rosters every year.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just use football for an example. First, you get out and you recruit these high school kids, and you get them, and you've just worked your tail end off. And in the old days, you knew you had them for 3 years. They have to stay for 3 years, and you could develop them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they could transfer if they wanted to, but they had to sit out a year.
Right.
So you had a little bit of a hold on them, and you developed them. That's a key to any athletics. I don't care if it's high school or college. You develop players. They get better in your system. Well, now you don't know whether you're going to have them for 1 year, 2 years, or they may quit you halfway through the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to go get other players. And it's just, I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know. I heard the OU coach, they got 26 new guys on the team right now. And some of the freshmen coming in are not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
26 at a program like Oklahoma. And it's everywhere. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, I just think and I know the argument is, well, the coach can leave. He recruited me, so I need to be able to leave too. Well, maybe they could put some kind of a clause in there that if your coach leaves, you have the right to leave. I don't know. But we hardly know the rosters of these teams from 1 year to the next. So
I think there are a couple of things you hit on would make a lot of sense. But the way it is right now, it's not good.
Mm-mm.
I think if your coach leaves, you can leave. I think that unequivocally number one thing. If your coach leaves, you can leave.
That's fair.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some kind of term commitment if your coach hasn't left, though. Because you think about pro sports. Yeah, there are free agents, but you sign contracts for 2 or 3 years, right? And so at the end of that year, okay, I've got these players coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then these players are leaving because their contracts are up unless we try to get them back or re-sign them or whatever. So I think in this situation, you need to have some kind of, it's more than just a year commitment once you sign. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's only 2. And when you transfer after that second year, you can go wherever and play right away. That's okay.
Yeah.
You need some kind of structure to it, right? I still like the fact that you could leave because you shouldn't have to be there if you don't want to be there.
No, you can make a mistake. You could just get there and you hate it.
Yeah. And that shouldn't, kill you. You shouldn't have to waste years off this. But at the same time, you got to have some kind of policing of it. I think there's a good happy medium. I don't like it all, the old system. I think this is better, this system, but it's got a long ways to go to bit perfect, I think.
It needs some adjustments to it, some tweaks.
Yeah.
But
I always hated my asshole coach left, and now I'm here. And if I want to transfer, I can do that, but I must sit out and waste a whole year.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like that, you can't do
that. I see that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this players. This I did. I didn't think this would happen.
Mhm.
North Texas had a fantastic season this
Yeah.
year. Won the NIT. Their best players in the portal.
Yep.
Oral Roberts, best players in the portal.
See, and that's the side of it nobody thought about.
No,
Yeah.
you would think those guys are superstars on their campus.
Mm-hmm.
They had a ball,
Mm-hmm.
and they would finish their career. You would think these guys that are in the portal are unhappy. They're in
Right.
bad situations.
Right.
Yet here we have these guys in the portal, and they're going to go somewhere for 1 year, their
Mhm.
senior year. I think they're both seniors. I'm not sure. I think they are. And that's not right. That's just that's the downside of it.
It's not. It breaks a lot of people's hearts. The old "I'm playing for my school" and these kids are playing for their school, and I've told you for years it's bullshit. And
It is.
now you're seeing it, and I think it is kind of they really don't care.
They don't.
And that's not not a widespread.
Not but it's a
There
lot.
are some that do. Okay.
And you combine the portal with the NIL to where a lot of these kids, it's legal to have an agent.
Right.
And once you get another guy involved in this that's making money off you,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to sway you to do things you might not want to do. But they will convince you, oh, you need to do this for your future, things of that nature. So college athletics is a mess. And I've heard also, who was that? Curtis said St. Peter's players all left last year.
Yep, right there. Yep.
I've heard, or it's Rob. I've heard the same thing about Florida Atlantic. They think they're going to lose a lot of guys coming back.
Yep.
And so, we've seen it at our little school that we follow, a D2 school, who was extremely good. And this is girls at D2 that's extremely good. They've hit the portal.
Well, and so to say, you and I know about this, but people don't. But this is a really good talking point. You guys may not care about the team or the player, but this is something that's happened that is a really good example of what we're talking about. Our school where we went to school is Missouri Southern here in Joplin, and they had a girl last year as a freshman. She grew up 20 minutes from the campus. Just an outstanding player, fantastic. Comes back for her sophomore year, and again they were outstanding. She's a great player, and I think kind of the thought was, wow, here's this girl. I mean, she's pretty much a hometown girl. She came here because she loved Missouri Southern. She's transferring, and it's like I don't really blame her, but at the same time, it's more of just a wow. I mean, we're D2 and we're losing players. Like it's crazy,
Yeah. So, if she was D2, and without getting specific, she's the reason she's at D2. She is a D1 player if she had the right size.
Yeah, she's not very big, and she's short. She's a shorter girl, and she's not like built like a stout.
No,
right? Yeah.
She's 5'4". She's 5'4" and weighs about 120.
Yeah, and so she does have a D2 type of a body type for sure.
The reason she's at D2 is because of her size. That's the only reason. That is, she doesn't shoot the ball just great. She's a good shooter, but not a great shooter.
Right.
And that's why she's there. She would be at Arkansas, Oklahoma, UConn, big time.
Yeah.
If she was 5'9".
Yeah.
Or 5'10".
Yeah.
So the issue is she's leaving where she's the face of the college.
Yeah.
And she'll admit it. She had a great time. She loves it at Southern. And there's no way she can play at a big time school. I don't think. Anybody will agree with that. So she's going to go to a lower level D1 and leave a fantastic D2. And you just have to ask yourself why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and if these rules weren't in effect, this would never happen. Although a D2 could transfer to a D1 and play.
Well, and you bring up another situation that players are starting to get into now that we've seen this around a couple of years, 2-3 years now. A player leaves, they go somewhere else where they think the grass will be greener, or hey, I'm a little too good to be here, and now I want to not an attitude like I'm too good, but an attitude like I think I can be better.
Do better. Yeah.
Right. I didn't mean that as.
And that's what she's doing. She wants to fulfill a dream.
Exactly. I just didn't want it to come across like I'm saying you're egotistical, because you're not. You're trying to be better. You're trying to better yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you're getting situations where they'll go somewhere, they never play, they're unhappy there, then they're going to go somewhere else, right? Yeah. That happened with another player from here on the boys' side. Thought he was a great Division II player. He went to Kansas. He never played.
That hurt.
He still, though.
I know he wouldn't have played.
He never was going to play. Guess what? He's in the portal again.
He went to Boise.
He's looking for a place to go. And
he went to Boise State.
Oh, he did go to Boise? Oh, I didn't. Okay. So, but still, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now he's got to go again somewhere else, you know? And maybe he's okay with that, but I would just think some of these guys, you just never know. And what if a college promises you something and you go there and you're enrolled, and then all of a sudden they got two more better options that came to them, and now you're there and they told you, hey, you're the guy, and now there's three of you there, right?
Right.
That's stuff that's happening, and I think for the most part it's good for the student athletes, but when it doesn't work out, they can kind of get themselves in a weird spot, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So, and I don't mean to imply anything negative about this situation with this girl. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better example of a student athlete. Of what she did for Missouri Southern was unbelievable. She was all in, just nicest girl in the world. And I mean, I'm just really, I don't want to say heartbroken because it's just sports, but it bothers me that, you know, this happens. And I'm not knocking her at all. If it's a dream of hers, you know, you only go around once. And I know the decision was tough for her to leave. I know her parents were not prodding it at all. And, you know, it's just one of those things.
I think when you are a good player like that, you look up and, you know, you're playing in front of a couple thousand people. And if you just think, if somebody wants me that's a little bigger, I'm going to go, you know. And
another thing, you gotta wonder, if the portal situation wasn't in place, would she be getting all these emails and texts? Would she? Yeah, right.
And that's the other thing. These players are still young, and you know, if I was good, and I was here, and just say somebody like Arkansas or I don't know, just anybody that's decent texts me or calls me or emails me or whatever and says, hey, you know, you can come here. We've got an NIL deal where you can get $10,000 if you sign. I'm gone.
Yeah. No question.
So it's like, whatever, you know, because like, think about it. Yeah. Okay. They, you know, I call them kids, but you know, they're really kind of professionals now, but 20 years old and somebody says, hey, you can come over here and we'll give you $10,000 to play basketball. I'll be like, great. Like, you guys gonna like, do you have a room for me now or what? Right.
Exactly.
So,
you know, and another thing from the coaching aspect of it, say you're coaching and you got this kid who has a world of potential, and he's a freshman and he's not playing very, you know, he's not getting after it. He's just, you know, he's got it, but he needs a little bit of prodding. He needs a little bit of pressure put on him. He needs to be pushed. Do you do it? Because you run the risk of him now. And we, you know, when I've coached a lot of freshmen that are not quite there yet.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't just let them coast. If they've got potential, you're on them constantly.
Yeah.
And the good ones will rise above it. And you've got to keep after them. So can you do that now, knowing that they're going to leave? If the least little thing goes wrong, they're out of there.
Yeah, and Dennis brings it up. Said, I hate talking about me. He says, Aaron, you hate Texas, but if you were playing for Oklahoma and Texas said they'd pay you double, you'd leave Oklahoma in a second. I would.
Most of them would, yeah.
I would. I totally would.
You know, and here's the way the rules are right now. there's nothing stopping that from happening.
I guess I should, if I'm making 10,000 and Texas is going to pay me 20, then maybe not. But if say I'm making 50 and they're going to pay me 100, gone. Sorry.
And what's happening now? Let's just use Kansas State basketball for an example.
Mm-hmm.
They made a great run this year because they got out in the portal and they got lucky and they got the right guys.
Yeah.
Because most of their players were from the portal. Now, I think it's interesting to note their two best players were at K-State last year. Now, a lot of people don't say that.
Yeah.
You know, Noel was not in the portal. But they went out and got guys to surround those guys, and the coach did a great job of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's going to come down now to who can go out in that portal and get those guys to come in there. And then what's going to happen is if you don't get those guys out of the portal, all the fans are going to hold it against you.
Yep.
And you might be the best guy in the world, and they don't want to come to your school, and there isn't anything you can do about it. A great example now is what's going on at Oklahoma. He's got to go get players or he's going to get his ass fired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I'm a huge OU fan, but if I'm on a basketball player, that's way down my list of where I want to go.
Yep.
Because they don't do very well with fans or anything else.
Yep.
At OU, there's no interest, is what I'm trying to say.
That's why you can't keep anybody.
That's right. And it's a very difficult position. And now it's even worse because you got to get out in that portal. So what you have to do is double recruit. You recruit the high school kids and try to get them, and then wham, every year you got to go right back out there into the portal and get the guys that aren't happy and leave.
Yep.
And it's you know, it's like Dennis said, or he mentioned Calipari here. Remember when he used to be knocked all the time because he went out and got all those one and done guys. Mm-hmm. Every year he had to start all over. That's what every college is having to do now.
Curtis, a good point here. He said Sampson said OU was the best basketball job because no one cared about the team until February.
You're right. And Kelvin believed that for a long time until they got really good.
So here's what happened.
He thought that was going to turn things around with fame. And it didn't.
When we were a perennial tournament team, but you knew they didn't have a chance to win and you knocked out first or second round, Sampson was incredibly happy at OU and no worries. But when he took them to the Final Four and nobody cared the next year when they were really, really good again, that's when Sampson and OU kind of started to fall apart.
He thought once he got him to the Final Four, he had the program turned around.
Yep.
And it didn't matter.
Nothing changed.
And it never has. And he couldn't handle that. He just, he had too much pride. You know, he had built it and built it and built it. I've always told this story when Hollis Price was a senior, and it's going way back, but they were great that year. They went to the Final 8.
Yep.
That year, I went to a conference game at OU towards the end of the season, and they were like 23-3 and ranked number 3 or 4 in the country.
Yep.
I sat 8 rows behind the bench. There was nobody there.
And you walked up and got tickets.
Tickets.
Mm-hmm. Probably 2,000 people. Yeah.
8 rows behind the team bench.
Yeah.
You think that's going to happen at Kansas?
No.
North Carolina? Dude, no. And so the point I was trying to make is at a place like OU, and you're the head basketball coach, and you got to get in the portal to replace a bunch of guys that were there and didn't like it and left, how in the world are you going to get them?
Yeah. And that's exactly right. And that's a huge problem that's going to happen there. And OU's had some great basketball coaches, and none of them have ever been able to.
Billy Tubbs, but that was a long time ago.
Well, yeah, that's true. But, Sampson, he did as good as anybody could.
There's no doubt.
They had Lon Kruger. He did a great job. He got him to the Final Four. Nobody cared.
No.
That's just the honest to God truth.
Aaron, the other day, I didn't have anything to do. It's been 2-3 months ago. It was like 5 degrees outside. I got to looking. Since 1980, Oklahoma is the 25th winningest school in basketball.
Well, that's just it. They've had good teams. Yeah.
And nobody would say that. Nobody would do that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's another problem for another day, right?
got nothing to do with is the portal running college athletics. It's just if you're the coach at OU right now, and I think Porter Mosier's a good coach.
Yeah.
The problem is he gets players, the young players in there, they don't stay. So then he has to turn around and get more. And now he's got to get out in the portal. And if he doesn't get players good enough to win next year and get it back in the tournament, he's history.
Yeah, Curtis, they had Blake Griffin for 2 years. They did sell out a couple of games when he was there, but not many. They also had Trae Young, and people didn't really care about that either. And he's from Norman. And they were excited, but they didn't sell it out or anything like that.
Knew that he wasn't going to stay. I think that was part of it. And when Buddy Hield was there, they sold out down the stretch. The final 4 year.
Yeah.
And when Wayman Tibbs goes way back, but when Billy Tubbs was there, they sold games out.
Yeah, right.
But you know why? Tubbs was kind of a smart ass, and they loved that at OU, and they never knew what he was part of the show. Billy Tubbs was. Yeah. That's way before your time, Aaron, but he was part of the show.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have anything else here? We're going to have to get off here because we've got another one coming in 22 minutes. We got blinkers off coming on. Any final thoughts?
No, I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done, and I know you do too. So,
all right, that's right.
Anybody going to Oakland this weekend, look me up. I probably am going to be there Saturday. So, yeah, I'll be there.
Papa Dude's birthday tomorrow. He's heading to Oakland. So, yeah, if you're at Oakland, hit him up. If you're at Keeneland, hit me or Jared up. We'll be there as well. Yeah.
I won't be at the racetrack until Saturday. And then I'm going back next week to the Apple Blossoms. So we're going to have a 2 weekend in a row Oakland experience.
You might be able to hit me up on Apple Blossom Day at Oakland as well. Waiting to get word if my horse is going to run or not that weekend. He's close. So we'll see on that one. Keep you updated on that one. Blinkers off. Do you have any controversial topic? No, not much.
You guys are pretty straightforward on there. Rob said, here's something controversial. Put it on there, Rob.
Okay, give it to us. Yes, Shoddy Husker Butch. We may have one more work, or we may be ready to run. I'm not sure. We'll see. He's had 6 works, so we're getting close. I'm not betting Todd Pletcher in turf sprints after 2 of his horses broke down.
I'm not a Taurus, Jesse. I'm an Aries.
What's he talking about then?
He said Papa's a Taurus. That's a zodiac sign.
Yeah.
I think it switches. His says his is the 22nd. I think it switches.
Oh, it does.
From Aries to Taurus.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. Well.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, I still think you guys are connected somehow there, Jesse.
Yeah, we are. We were born in April.
You're born in April. Forget about these signs. It's a month. You're born in April.
Jesse, I bet you're still celebrating your birthday, where I'm just glad I woke up again and had another one, but we don't add the years on my birthday. You probably haven't got that far yet.
Yeah, well, I got one coming up that's not going to be good. So
yes, you do. And hey, that ain't good for me either. How about
that? It's not. And yeah, happy late birthday, or no, happy birthday today to Dennis. Yeah, Dennis.
Oh, that's right, Dennis. I meant to say that. I saw that on Twitter, and then I meant to say that in the whatever that show we do in the mornings, Doozy Bet Daily. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Have a good one.
Happy birthday. Look at here, April 20th. Michael, my goodness. Look at all these.
Wow. That's a spring
Dennis,
day.
Michael, you, Jesse. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's a good one. 48. Yep. This is last year I'm counting. Yeah.
Yep.
Good idea.
Very good.
Dennis, I'll stay out of trouble tonight.
I may see Dennis tomorrow.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. See if I can get there. I got to get off this show. Got to do another show. Got to finish.
You got to get off there. You got another one coming up.
Right. Got to finish this one. Got to finish another show. Got to finish the betting Bible. And then I'll head to get Jared. We'll head to Keeneland. Or
betting Bible done too. So
that's right. You've got work to do too. All right, guys. We're going to get off here. We'll be back in about 30 minutes with blinkers off. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us. Good luck to everybody this weekend. It's going to be a fun one. See you right back here next week.
place. This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Haldeman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit